It is Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. And as always, we are brought to you by Alonzi Travel, specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams at Disney, Universal, or wherever your heart calls you. Reach out to get a quote and start planning. My email is charles at alonzi-travel.com. Pete, we're back on. We've got an abbreviated show today because we got several games we want to break down. So we're going to focus and make sure we concentrate on quality over quantity. We've got offenses that exploded in week 3. So I'm really excited to get into it and dive into what the film shows. Well, my brother, how you doing? How you feeling?
I need a haircut. I know that. That's one.
I just got one. I got to change up. I told my barber, I'm like, I need a change. I don't want to do the comb over again. So I got it short and I'm spiking it again and seeing how it goes. The wifey doesn't really like it as much, but I'm like, I can't do the comb over again. I've had that for years.
Yeah, nah, it's about I go like 2 weeks. If I got something going on, I may go like 2 weeks back to back, but this is going on 2 weeks without a haircut and it shows. Other than that, man, I'm doing well. I can't complain. Sometimes you got to be thankful for the spot in the moment that you're in while still looking ahead and being thankful for your past. So, I think that's where the Eagles are right now. I think that sums up what the Eagles offense has been through the first 3 games and to be 3-0 and dare I say trending upward and more complex. And I really think the offensive growth, not so much growth, but the capabilities of what we're seeing with the offense, what we saw in the second half, when they were forced in a position to have to play to win the game and not lose, to kind of let the governor off a little bit. And I think probably the most exciting thing is probably what, for me, is what Fangio is doing on the defensive side as well. It's not being talked about a lot.
True, yeah.
Not being talked about a lot, but he's doing ththings that are not Fangio-esque or things that haven't been seen. So while we've been sitting here waiting for, okay, we won the Super Bowl, and it kind of seems like the offense is like, well, we can just kind of wash, rinse, and repeat. We heard an excerpt from Nick Sirianni say it with Brandon Lee Gowton. He posted it. Shouts out to Brandon Lee Gowton, where he was like, hey, the things that you're good at your base stuff, let's just get better. Yeah, that can only work so far, right?
It's like we've seen that before. We've seen that quote before. After 2020, after 2022 and 23, when they were talking about the offense, we've seen his philosophy. But the thing is, we've also seen after that the collapse, and we've seen how valuable bringing in new elements was when Kellen Moore came in. So I think I think it's about a balance between what Nick's philosophy was before, but to still make sure you're evolving along with,
Right. And I don't think so much with the offense is actually evolution. Like I said, again, like I think it's more evolution. If you're looking at that and that word evolve, that subword is changing the phrase of that to evolution, right? To make it mean more and that action of evolving. That's more on the defensive side. Like Fangio's is doing things that he hasn't done before because he has the personnel to do so. To where with the offense is this, okay, like, hey, like we got these guys. Like AJ said, I won't use the exact phrase that he said because, but pretty much let your personnel do what it does. Let your Jimmy and the Joes screw the X's and O's. Doesn't have to be over complex. Enabling us, because if I'm not mistaken, they went into the second half not having a lot of passing yards, and I think both AJ and Devontae ended up with 100 and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's crazy how they will turn it on, and we're gonna dive into the offensive film a little bit and talk about what we thought were what our takeaways were. But with this episode that we have for you, and if you're listening, we appreciate it. We're gonna dive into 3 offenses from this week that really impressed us. We got the Eagles, we got the Lions, and we got the Bears. We did Eagles last week. So if you're watching us, you're starting to follow the show. And then we talk about how we dive into other stuff outside of just the Eagles. That is true. We do, but the performance and that game was against the Rams was so good I was like, we have to talk about it. It was like, it's one of the main talking points, nationally. So like we can't not discuss it and talk about what changes happened to spark that comeback and lead to that dramatic win. So we're going to talk about that, the Eagles again, but we are going to, we said, we're going to talk about the Bears and their explosion against the Cowboys, as well as the Lions and how impressive they look the past 2 weeks, and especially against the Ravens on Monday night. So let's kick it off though with our home turf, the Eagles. And I've got a lot of notes from watching the film, Pete. But we'll start with you. If you're going to have one takeaway from the offense, whether it be good, bad, like what do you want to start with? What did you take away from watching it?
Actually, the biggest thing I've taken away from was Jalen's maturation as a leader on the sideline, being more vocal, being more involved. We've seen it after the AJ touchdown, him sitting over there with Singleton, him sitting over with looks like Patullo, where they're sitting, he's standing, and he's just being very vocal. We saw it last week a little bit when he got into Tyler Steen a little bit during that game. I forget what it was against the Chiefs. I don't know if it was they had to call a timeout, but something wasn't right. The alignment wasn't right. Something was missed, and he's taking that step forward to be that leader that what the fan base envisions him to be. Because remember before I said he's so calm, he's so collected. Like now he's growing into it to become more passionate and more confident in himself and his skills to let that passion come through. And that's kind of what I've taken away, because I almost feel like the offense kind of all felt like that. They felt like they were being limited, right? We all say the governor in the car can't go a certain speed limit. They felt like that. And it wasn't just we feel like that as fans, but to know that they felt like that, as far as when you hear what Jalen said and how he spoke after the game, when you hear what AJ said and how they spoke after the game, we obviously didn't give it to Devontae, but it's more along those lines of like, hey, this team is still a unit, and they played like shit offensively for the first 2 games. Well, really for the first 10 quarters of football this season, and boom, here it comes. It's like they had to remind the coaches, like, hey, like this is look at our payroll, like look at our bankroll, look at where this money is going and what you have invested in it. We shouldn't have to tell you to trust us, and we shouldn't have to be down 19 to be lucky to be down 19 in that situation to then feel like now we have to be aggressive because we were forced into a corner. So it's like they can still do it, but it's really just the uniform mindset to feel like, hey, this has been growing. This undertow and this tension has been growing for the past 2 weeks. And it's like, hey, why are we doing this to ourselves? I get it. Yeah, we have Saquon. He is a stud, right? But I think what's not being talked about as much, and you'll probably get into it, is that's a good positive for me with Jalen's maturation and how he's on the same page with AJ and Devontae. Is the other side of that coin is this O-line need to step it up, brother. This O-line, it's still better. It's still better than most, but it's not playing to the level it was through the first 3 games of last year.
Yeah, 100%. And I talked about it on Eagles Talk last night. And I'll say it again if you didn't hear. It's just people are wondering what's going on with the run game. Why isn't Saquon ripping off those explosives? And people want to point to scheme, and I guess so. I mean, you can make adjustments schematically because of the reason I'm going to get to, but it starts because the interior of the O-line is just not playing well. They're not. Like Jurgens has been solid, but I'd argue not playing to the level that he was last year. Tyler Steen, he is what he is. Like I think he's played to expectations. He's a better pass protector than Mekhi Becton was, but he's not the mauler in the run game that Becton was. We saw Becton last year. He moves people in the run game. So when you go from that to Steen, who is more of that technician and but he doesn't have that overwhelming power and strength that Mekhi Becton has.
Right. He's not as big of a human.
Yeah, it's just not great. So, and again, so I don't like. I expected that to be the thing, but if you're wondering why you're not seeing that, from the right guard position, that's because in the run game it is like a downgrade. But then I think the biggest factor is Landon Dickerson, who I have so much respect for. I love Dickerson, and I know he's playing hurt, and he's trying to tough it out. And I love him and respect him for that. But you can absolutely tell that he's hurt, and he's not 100%. He is giving up a lot of ground. He's not moving people, and a lot of these breakdowns in the run plays are due to him because he can't get any push. Yeah. So that's the issue, is mainly the interior. And I mean, Mailata has had his issues as well. Obviously with Lane leaving the game against the Rams, and then you have first Matt Pryor coming in, didn't play that well, regardless of what PFF will tell you. And then you also have Fred Johnson, who came in, played well in pass protection, but Fred Johnson is not great at run blocking. So you have all those factors, and it starts with just the O-line. It starts with the O-line. So if it's going to be like that, do you scheme other stuff? Yeah, possibly. Like, I would like to see more outside zone. I'd like to see more
stretch.
So, like, get outside the tackles a little bit. I think that would be good. But at the same time, like, if Landon can't move, that's
right.
You're still faced with that problem. So it's just a matter of they're going to have to play better to what we've seen they're capable of, and I think eventually they will. So, but that's the reason for the run game. I just think that we're going to need to. It's going to take time for them to get back to that level, but I expect it to. I fully expect it to. But in terms of the film, for me, what I saw, I know a lot of people are expecting this huge change, right? Like they're expecting, in the second quarter after the Rams scored that the third quarter, I'm sorry, after the Rams scored that touchdown, there were probably 30
seconds into the quarter.
Yeah, there were people were probably saying like, there were probably these drastic changes, call playing wise, or play calling wise. There really weren't. There were some, but like overall, it wasn't that drastic. So, to start the game, like what I noticed was that I already talked about Pryor, and I talked about the O-line. Something that not a lot of people are realizing is that there was a lot of bad execution in terms of route spacing and just knowing what they're doing. Like there were in the first drive where we eventually scored a touchdown, there was that one play where Hurts is targeting Smitty on the out route, but Dotson's right there, and he thinks it's intended for him, and he gets his hand, and it's incomplete. That route spacing, like Dotson is probably running the wrong route because it's targeted. Hurts is targeting Smitty. He's not expecting Dotson to be right there. And there's another play later on another drive where AJ doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know the play calling. He just doesn't run a route. There's another play where I think it's Darius Cooper and Goddard. I forget if Goddard's the other person, but they're running routes and they are literally right behind each other, like in the middle of the field. So that was definitely wrong. So you have these execution issues along with the poor pass pro that's just compiling everything. And so it's not just all schematic when it comes to the issue. It's execution. It's the players that really compounded the issue. But when we got into the second half, I think the major thing, aside from better execution, was you saw them spread out more, right? Less condensed formations. They put 5 wide, and they were and 5 wide and 3-by-1 sets with AJ isolated as the receiver. And because of that, you were able to dictate a lot of one-on-one matchups for AJ. because he's the isolated receiver on the backside. So that's where you got a lot of these big plays because you have him isolated. So that's the major thing that I saw is that they were able to be like, okay, we want to get the ball to AJ Brown. Let's not complicate this anymore. Let's get the ball to AJ Brown. How can we do that? Let's get him one-on-one. Let's isolate him. And I think that was like one of the biggest adjustments if we talk about schematic adjustments. Obviously, Fred Johnson coming in there, providing stability in pass protection was also definitely a factor. We're going to get into one of the plays, but Hurts getting time from Fred Johnson led to be able to have that target, in the middle of the field. You called it too. This other one I'll touch on, Pete, and you called it in our chat. You had said you want to see more QB design runs, and they called. I think like in the second half they called like 2 or 3 more. I can't forget.
I think it was 2 or 3, and it was on the drive to take the lead.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, and that's Sean McVay kind of said something similar. He's like, hey, like after the game, he's like, they're very obviously they're a very talented football team. They're defending Super Bowl champions. They have a lot of grit. And he said something that struck a chord with me, and what you were just speaking of. He said they want to they want to dictate how they play the game. They want to play the game and the style of play they wanted to play. And in the first half, it was very conservative, and we saw that. And in the second half, kudos to the Rams. Based off the first half, they pushed them into a corner where it's like, hey, all right, well, we got this bag too. We got this card that we can play where we could do a 3-by-1 set. We got an all-around wide receiver in Devontae, but we have a matchup nightmare on the other side. And now he's isolated with Darius Williams, and it's not overly complicated. It was just put the ball in his hands and let him go make a play.
Yep. Yeah. You don't have to overcomplicate it when you have AJ Brown and then Devontae Smith on the other side. So let's get to some plays that really stood out to us. I want to start. We'll go in chronological order. So we'll start with this is the theme of these. We have 2 clips here. The theme of these are middle of the field targets. And that's another takeaway that I had was that, hey, we talk about Hurts not being someone who targets the middle of the field often. Second half, like there are a lot of plays where he was targeting the middle of the field and pretty much like throwing dimes. He was doing really well. And this first one, this was a touchdown to Goddard. And if you're noticing, if you've
after the big go route completion to AJ, the very next
right after, yeah. So this is you have Goddard from the number two receiver up top, and he's running. They do this often. He's going to run a post route, and they catch the Rams in some type of cover 2, and I don't know if it's like inverted cover 2, regular cover 2, Tampa 2. I've been trying to research to see if anyone else knows what it was. No one seems to have a beat on what exactly it was. It could have also been a breakdown, but as you see here, Goddard is and we highlighted him. I'm trying to put graphics into this now too, so if you're watching this, you can see exactly where I'm talking about. But Goddard is going to be the target, and he's running that post from the slot. And you're going to see after this, the Rams are pretty much just going to let that happen. Because there's, again, cover 2, there's some type of breakdown, and it's just wide open, and this is just an easy layup for Hurts. But good job by him to know that deep middle of the field is going to be open, and he's going to be able to hit Goddard. So that run concept that pass concept is something that the Eagles have run in prior games, but on here is where they actually hit. So I don't know if you have anything to add.
And I feel like it was almost to the point to where like this is just so much. We'll have to see if they open up like this and it's early in the game, but the sequencing, the play sequencing after the AJ play, you hit this because you pretty much hit that to the boundary side, to the far side from the camera angle. The play before,
yeah,
you had this very next play.
Yep. So it's good. Just this sparked the comeback for the Eagles. They got things going. So really good stuff from them here. I think this was probably the most impressive throw of the day for Jalen Hurts. I like this. So credit to friend Duffy. He noticed that they called a similar concept earlier in the game that Hurts kind of missed. And so they used that, they called it again, but added something to it. So what you're going to see is you're going to see Smitty on so right now they're in 2x2 condensed.
Far side is 2x2 set.
Yeah, now Smitty is motioning. Now he's the number 3.
Nobody can win, so they're definitely in zone.
Yep. So no, they're in zone. Now, see, Smitty is going to be the eventual target. They're going to run mesh. So you see the number 1 the one receiver to the backside, and then I believe it's the number 2 to the trip side. They're going to run the mesh. If I'm correct, if I remember correctly. Now, this route, as you see, I drew it here for everyone. And sorry if the lines are squiggly. It's hard to draw on my phone.
I didn't catch the squiggles until you just pointed them out.
Yeah. but Smitty is going to be the one. He's going to run this kind of like a delayed
crosser.
Yeah. So you have the mesh and you have the intermediate crosser off of the mesh initially, and that's a common concept, right? But you add this delayed crosser from Smitty, and that's what's going to really open up. It's good anticipation here by Hurts, and again, the pass protection by Fred Johnson helps set this up. So I'm going to play it so you can see how it plays out.
And it's patience. While as a play is rolling, it needs time to develop, and the pass pro holds up.
Boom. Yep.
And you can tell when that after Devontae goes in motion, they're in zone. It's just 2 DBs to cover 3 people.
Yeah.
So, but you had to be patient because you could have took the short underneath round. It looks like I said it was 3rd and 14, but it's 3rd and 10. And like I said, this is execution, right?
Yeah.
This is
so you have Dotson. I think I can't figure out who this is. This is AJ. I forget who this is. I'm sorry, but they run the mesh, and you see Goddard here. He's going to run that intermediate crosser initially up
and then,
over.
And the delay crosser coming right behind.
So earlier, I think Fred pointed out earlier in the game when they ran this, it was Smitty that was running this route initially, and it was missed. So they built something on it where Smitty now is going to run the delay crosser, and it's a good job by Smitty too because when you have a delayed, when you're like that far into the progression, you don't have to necessarily be on time with your routes. You can you have a little bit of leeway to be a little bit more delayed and do stuff. So Smitty does a really good job here. Look how far he's going to widen this. And because he's able to widen that route, that really extends and opens up the defense, the secondary, in that second level. And you can see the cornerback here. Look how wide he has to be to adjust to that route. And because he does so, that leaves that window. And look, and Hurts is right now, he's pulling the trigger. He anticipates that going to be open. So really good job there. I love that they hit this. So middle of the field, I'm telling you, Hurts that's not his forte.
Right.
But he's not bad at it. He just doesn't do it a lot.
But you think about like even in this route, if this was an option route with this, look at 14. I think that's 14 or 34. The Rams DB that's rear. Watch, he's giving him to the inside of the zone. If Devontae chose at that point to run a go route from that position, he has the same option. Hurst has the same thing. He can throw it up the field. I mean, but this is once again patience, right? We don't have to get it all back in one play. Yep. And at this point, we had got stops. We were rolling.
Yep, absolutely. So I love this the design. One of my favorite pass concepts is mesh. So I loved them building off of this, and again, middle of the field target, awesome stuff. The other play I want to go to when we get off of that, the game-winning touchdown, right, to Smitty. And I know this looks simple to the casual viewer, casual eye, but as I'm watching this is what I pick up on. And we talk about one of the reasons why Hurts is so good now is because he's so smart. And this is one of the elements one of the examples of why he's so smart. And this is not all QBs can do this. And I'm not saying he's one of one, but what do we talk about with Tom Brady? What's one of the things that have made him the GOAT? Because even if it's a simple short pass or it looks like a simple check down or whatever it is, It's about making the right decision and knowing where to go. The reason why this jumps out to me pre-snap, okay? So AJ is up top. He's the number one receiver.
AJ, then it's like the John.
I think it's the Dotson. So AJ is going to run a slant with Dotson kind of running that pick route. You would think, obviously, that's the first option, right? That's the first progression. You want to go to AJ, and that's the right thing. But once you look at the defense, I want you to see the type of defense that the Rams are running. They have two safeties back here, but you see as I circled this guy, this safety, this DB,
he's trying
look
to
at
cheat.
him moving, correct? Right?
Yep.
Because of that movement, Hurts knows that he's very likely to be pressuring, right?
Yep.
He's going to come down and attack. Whereas this safety, there's a good chance he's gonna bracket AJ, and that's exactly what happened. So Hurts immediately knows, okay, I'm not even gonna look to AJ's side.
Yep, AJ's out of play.
Yeah, AJ is going to be bracketed. That safety is going to bracket him to take him away. But this safety, because you're reading this safety now, since he is probably going to come in on a pressure look or on a blitz, that's going to leave Devontae Smith one-on-one. So, Devontae Smith one-on-one, you're going to go to that matchup. But it's that type of stuff. That is why this is a smart decision and good pre-snap awareness by Jalen Hurts to know where to go to. So as we see here, that safety, he's kind of creeping. I'm not sure why he didn't just come all out. I don't know if he has some sort of spy, if he's a spy on Hurts, but pretty much his eyes are to Hurts, and he's creeping through the line of scrimmage, and that does leave Smitty one-on-one, and you're going to see him, as we know, hit the out route and hit the touchdown. So
you see how if you go back a couple seconds, a couple frames, even though it's tight down here,
back more.
Yeah, no, keep going.
Forward or back?
Backwards.
Back.
Rewind.
Rewinding. Where's? Okay.
So look how Devontae gets up the field, and right there at that moment, Hurts knows where he's going. Outside of just knowing the play design, but the execution that we weren't seeing in the first half. Look at it on this route here. Devontae needs that space, and then just look how the DB's playing it. The DB's giving him the boundary. He's giving him.
Yeah, he's playing inside leverage.
He's playing inside leverage, and then Saquon needs to clear his guy just to get out the way. So even Saquon's doing right, and then at this point, Jalen knows. Okay, as soon as Saquon clears, it's over.
Boom, done. Yeah. Yep, just it's little stuff like that. That's what makes this so. It makes football so awesome.
It seems so simple, but it's so intricate. I think there was, and this to go back to what Sean McVay said. I don't know if I didn't send it and share it, but he said Jalen can beat you with his arms, his legs, and then he said his mind. So where people thought coming out of Alabama, this was a one-trick pony, but now they're starting how much he studies, how smart he is. Whose brain has he been picking on in the summertime, in the off season? Who's he calling? He's calling Brady. He's calling Peyton. He wants to be better at it all. That competitiveness is self-driven. Like he doesn't need any outside motivation. It helps, but this is truly from him wanting to be the best that he can be.
Yeah,
and we are in a very fortunate position to have this much talent on the offensive side. That all at the same time and all necessarily in their prime. That's the crazy part. They're all in their prime. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Game-winning touchdown, 27-26. And I thought with them not hitting the 2-point conversion, I thought that was going to be bad omen. I was like, oh, my God, that's the game.
You forgot you had Jordan Davis on the team.
Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on special teams. So great stuff. I think this is a good wake-up call. It's still not perfect. There's still some things to work on, some things that don't make sense though. But I think they're starting to figure it out. I think credit. I know a lot of Eagles fans don't want to give him credit, but credit to Kevin Patullo to make these types of adjustments. Whether it took Hurts yelling at him or not to do it. He still ended up doing it, but the offense showed signs of life, and it was good. Oh, excuse me.
Good insight.
Thank you, sir. Any other takeaways from the Eagles' offense from the Rams game before we move on to the next one?
No, not from the offense. It just to come back from 19 points in the NFL. Yes, you have to execute. You have to figure it out. But the other side as well has to mix that. So really the opposite of two halves, where the Rams are executing and being patient in the first half and the second half. Just one or two throws, man.
Yep.
Those red zone trips turning those into 3 instead of 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's off to the defense and then capitalize. And we're looking at Jalen's pass chart.
Before this is beauty. Look at all the green in the middle of the field. I love it. Again, he doesn't have to be Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow when it comes to passing in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. But if you have a pass chart like this where he's able to hit a few when it's needed, that's all you need. You need to be able to show that he can do it, and so that the defense isn't. They don't have to feel like all they need to do is take away the sidelines. Hit a couple of them in the middle of the field, and you're good. Like you can do so much on the outside. You can do even more on the outside if you're able to hit someone in the middle. And this is awesome. Awesome. So 21 to 32, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, essentially in one half of football.
Yeah,
it would have a football. Plus 3.3% completion percentage over expected. So Hurts continues to play super well. Credit to him, and we shall see what happens next week. All right, let's go over to a little bit of a hot topic ever since maybe you can say since last year, but especially this year, the Bears offense under new head coach Ben Johnson and the much divisive Caleb Williams. It was a rough outing for Caleb Williams in week 1.
Yep.
Week 2, despite the score, like people think that he had a bad game because of the score. He did not have a bad game against the Lions. And this week against the Cowboys, now take it with a grain of salt, the Cowboys it looks like they had the worst defense
against the Cowboys.
It looks like they have the worst defense in the league. So take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, the Bears offense did what they're supposed to do. Good offenses blow out bad defenses. So they did what they're supposed to do. So you got to give credit to them. If they had struggled or looked mediocre against the Cowboys, then you could kind of like take that away. But for them looking really good against the Cowboys, I'm not going to discredit them. Not sure how much of
and no CD for pretty much most of the game.
Yeah, no CD. One takeaway as I was watching the Bears game. Well, let me first start by this: the Bears over the first 3 weeks, despite their 1-2 start, I think the brightest sign of how can I word this? The star that's shining the brightest. Yeah, the star shining the brightest right now is Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze is balling. He is he's showing now why he was taken as high as he was and was looked at as that type of top tier prospect, wide receiver prospect in last year's draft. So he is balling out. And you look at the rest of these weapons on the Bears, they're the receiving weapons. They're starting to make a little bit of plays. So I like what I'm starting to see and what they're starting to build on. So I think against the Cowboys, I saw Caleb Williams that is starting to get it. He's really starting to get on how to play on time in Ben Johnson's offense, how to stay on schedule. You still have, I think, a few plays where he still could work on it a little bit, but you saw some plays where you're like, oh, that's a good job by Caleb to still stay on schedules, and
really with Ben Johnson's offense, something that obviously the personnel is not there what he had with Detroit, especially from the line aspect, running back aspect as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Jared Goff's capable. Jared Goff doesn't have the same arm that Caleb does. Caleb's arm talent, he can make every throw. So there's
that release. Caleb Williams
there's no blade of grass on that field that Ben Johnson can't use, and you can see it in the spacing that they have. And he trusts Caleb to be able to make those throws, and that's rare. It's rare, and I'm happy. I'm happy for Caleb. I'm happy for Bears fans, because it just could be the start where, like you said, where it starts to click. I mean, that Vikings game, Week 1, Monday Night Football, they were in control of that game, and they didn't play well. Caleb didn't play well, proverbially speaking. He didn't play well. But I mean, the Lions right now are juggernaut. In the last 2 weeks, they put up 90 points. Yeah, averaging 45 points a game.
Yeah, we'll get to them. But yeah, it's they weeks 2 and 3, especially for them. They've really come on. But I think that the first 2 weeks for the Bears, their scripted stuff looked good. It was after their scripted plays where they started to falter. But now you're this game against the Cowboys. And again, I know they're like the worst defense in the league. But at the same time, sometimes you need a good matchup to kind of get you some confidence. To know that you can do this kind of stuff. And sometimes that's a spark you need to really get things moving. So it was a good indicator. I think we're starting to see also, Ben Johnson's schemes and creativity were showing. Like there were a lot of there were a couple of interesting plays here that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's fun. So that's the typical Ben Johnson experience. Rome Odunze was playing well. Luther Burden is starting to make some receptions, some catches. The role for DJ Moore is still a little bit weird. Like they're starting to use him kind of like in that Deebo Samuel wide back.
Put him in the backfield a little bit.
So if they want to still do, I guess they're trying to do that because of the struggles that the DeAndre Swift is having.
Well, I mean, they really could just give more carries to McGonagall, and then
Managai. I'm going to get into that in no huddle, trust me. But yeah, I mean, the offense is starting to figure stuff out. Colson Loveland had a couple good catches. So, anything that you took away as watching the Bears offense against
the offense particularly, no. It's just you can kind of see it's starting to make sense. The game is starting to slow down for Caleb, and that maturation of what it could be potentially, even with Cole Kmet's and Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, the flea flicker, things of that nature. I just had to look up real quick to see who the defensive coordinator was, because I was like, I felt like it's a prominent name. It really wasn't the tip of my tongue at the time. But Dennis Allen is the DC in Chicago. So another guy, we talk about this all the time, right? We talk about guys who try out as a head coach, doesn't work out, good coordinator, but maybe not be the best head coach. So you get them back to what they may feel more comfortable with and what they're good at. And I can just, if they start putting the defensive pieces together, start playing as a unit more, and it definitely can help out. It definitely can help. So, am I echoing?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, the Bears, I'm just curious to see where it goes. I think it's only the beginning. I really think it's only the beginning. And I'm interested to see how Burden takes this next step. Yeah.
Because I really like Burden. I was high on him as a prospect, so I like him. I think that Odunze is establishing himself as the top wide receiver there. But I mean, you know how offenses are in today's league. You need two guys. You need two studs on the outside. So
you almost like you need your one like this matchup freak, and then you need that good all around wide receiver that can just has good feet, runs the right routes, good hands, and can still win, but they just do it in different ways. One wins on just raw natural ability, the other guy wins on just technique and talent and has above average. Maybe nothing super like elite, but everything else is above average.
Yeah, and we can see that from Burden. I think Burden has really high ceiling, especially in this offense. So they have weapons. They're not short on weapons, and it's starting to figure out. But there were a couple of plays I could have picked from this game. There was one where he hit Burden in the middle of the field, and I really liked the design of that, and the throw by Caleb on it was exceptional touch in the intermediate level of the field. So I wanted to point that out. But the play that I chose to I chose to bring up here was the flea flicker. We saw that was like the highlight game or the highlighted play from this game. So we'll talk about that. Now, this isn't like when you talk about flea flickers, and I know Eagles fans, when we think about flea flicker, we think automatically, oh, Nick Foles and the NFC Championship.
Nick Foles and Torrey Smith.
Yeah. So the reason why this one's a little different is because the protection that Ben Johnson runs here, it's interesting, but
I think your exact words is he's the madman after this.
Madman, and the way he does him doing this adds to the sell of it being a run play, and it really it makes him so like psychotic in a good way. So usually you're just gonna have a clean ISO or clean like inside zone run play, up the middle for the running back when you get this. Just so like protection schemes, right, are pretty simple, and that you get the protection that you want. But what's going to be different here, you're going to see both tight ends, and I think this is Durham Smythe and Cole Kmet. You see one as lined up as a fullback, and one is lined in that kind of H-back role, and I'm going to circle them here. You see they're going to run split flow, right? But they're going to not only is the one, I forget if this is Kmet, I think this is Smythe. I think
85 is definitely Kmet.
Yeah, so he's going to run that regular split flow action, but then this guy, he is going to wind back around, and that's interesting, and like it causes a lot of traffic, but again, it really sells to the defense that this is run, because again, why would you do this if it wasn't run, right? That's what the defense is looking at. So because he's able to do this, he really adds to the sell factor of this flea flicker. And then up top, this is where the ball is eventually going to go to. This is Luther Burden. He's targeted up here. So as I let it play out, you're going to see the guys. Look at that wind back. So like you have all this traffic, and look at everyone biting. Look at all this. The only one that's not biting is the middle of the field safety here, where he's not supposed to bite anyway, or like he's not supposed to play the run. But everyone sells. Everyone gets into it. So you have that, and then Swift. This is probably the only poor execution part of the play. He pitches the ball back and like hangs up in the air, like a rainbow shot. Like it's lobbed up, and you're like, oh my god, is he going to be able to get this off on time? But he's able to grab it, and just with a flick of the wrist, this goes. I don't remember the exact number, but it's like flick of the wrist. This is like 60.
It looks like he threw it from like the 23,
and it goes all the way down to like the
15.
17. Yeah, 17, 15. It's definitely 60 plus yards in the air. That is phenomenal. That is you Pete. You talked about arm talent. This is being able to just do that and just chuck it like that. It's one of the reasons why Caleb was so highly doubted, because being able to let that go. But amazing play design, and then Caleb hits it right on the money to Luther Burden, and that goes for the touchdown as the Bears go up 13-3 after that play, and the route is on.
Rolling from there.
Anything you wanted to add?
No, I feel like this is what that I get the feeling like this is what the Lions felt like 3 years ago. Like when they started to click and they started to get it, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I'm definitely keeping an eye
on the Karate Kid celebration.
What was that? I'm sorry.
The Karate Kid celebration by Burden.
Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't look.
He did the crane kick.
Oh, that's funny. This is the passing chart for Caleb Williams. 19 of 28, 298 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Awesome stuff. Awesome.
And look at the CPOE. Actually, with those stats, it says that -9.
-9. That was a little bit weird. I'm not sure why it came off as that. I can try to find out, but I wouldn't take too much into that. But he had a good game. And I was as I was watching this tape, I'm like, he's making some throws that are like, whew, like,
Yeah.
jeez, Caleb, jeez, he's getting it. He's getting it. Trust me. I mean, they're gonna still have bumps in the road at certain games moving forward. It's not gonna be like all just like
there's going to be a plateau at some point.
Yeah, there's gonna be plateaus, but he's gotten better each week so far. So you gotta give it to him. Gotta give it to him. All right, final game. Ravens Lions turned out to be an amazing game. I know a lot of people want to react to the Ravens and say they're in trouble. I don't think they're in trouble. I think the Ravens will be fine. I think this says more about the Lions than it does anything. And I know a couple weeks ago we talked about the Packers, right, being the favorites in the NFC North, and how there were concerns about the Lions. 2 weeks later, and the Packers lose a dud to the Browns, which I'm not gonna like overreact to as well. Like,
right, it was a Jordan. It's my fears with why they lost that game. Jordan Love had no business throwing that interception.
Yeah, the offense looked so out of sync all game for them. But like they have a dud, and the Lions 2 weeks in a row, like they're firing on all cylinders. So things change quickly in the NFL. The Lions look like they are still a force to be reckoned with, and that's awesome to see. That really is awesome to see. See how they execute. I think as I was watching the game, I'm just like, they are imposing their will against the Ravens. Like,
they bullied the Ravens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think they play the Eagles sometime in November. I'm curious to see if teams remain healthy. That's going to be a matchup, and I think what's being lost in sight is outside of this execution from the Lions standpoint, right? The Ravens throttled them last year in Baltimore. So the Lions and Dan Campbell did not forget. They didn't forget. So they were definitely up for this game. And I think but once again, we talk about Stafford missing throws against the Eagles, right? Lamar uncharacteristically didn't trust his protection last night,
Yeah. Holding on to the ball a long time, making
But God, what was his name? What's the new DC's name? Kelvin Shepard.
Okay, you're talking about in
Detroit. Kelvin Shepard shot. Yeah. Hats off to him. It looks like the Ravens at some point, once it was tied up 14-14, and the Lions just never looked back. It just seems like both on offense and defense, Joe Morton and Kelvin Shepard were a step ahead.
Yeah,
they were a step ahead. They were a step ahead of Monkey. I mean, Adebike was out. Noy was out. I haven't seen anybody run like that on the Ravens in a long time.
Ravens' run defense is a problem. It's a problem right now. It's the main problem for them. They are dead last right now in. Oh yeah, Mina posted the stat, but like they rank dead last in some type of run defense stat so far. 3 weeks in, and if you think it's just an outlier from the Lions game, which it's funny, I don't know why people. There's a little bit of tangent. I don't know why people think they can try to one up Mina and act like she doesn't do her research. There was someone on Twitter that replied to her, be like, "Oh, this is just an outlier. If you take out this game, they're not that bad." Mina replied to them and said, "Yeah, they're if you take out this game, they were ranked 31st, and provided film on it. So like, don't try to come for Mina. She's the wrong person to try to one up. Wrong person. There's one person. If there's one person in the business who absolutely does their research and their homework, it's Mina. So don't try to. People are stupid enough to still try to challenge her. That's not smart. But anyways, the run defense for the Ravens is a problem. They gotta it's going to be an issue for them come playoff time.
Run defensive ball security, where I think they said Derrick Henry had three fumbles over the last 2 seasons, and he's had 3 fumbles in the first 3 games.
And in 2 of them, they came in the fourth quarter in their own territory. It's insane, and you can see him so mad on the bench after that one. But it's just like, uncharacteristic, and you just don't know. You don't know. I don't know what's happened, but I'm not too concerned about the Ravens. I think they will be where they have always been. They'll be in the playoffs, but they've got to figure out something. Like last year, it was their pass defense that was a big issue, and they adjusted and moved Kyle Hamilton to to actual safety instead of nickel anymore, and that helped a lot. So this year it'll be interesting to see what they can do to adjust and fix the run defense. But so far it's been atrocious. So it is definitely a highlight. But for the Lions, their run game so impressive. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs gets a lot of like the talk and spotlight because so Montgomery is still there. Montgomery is still there and doing things, and you forget how lethal that is. Definitely the top running back duo in the league.
Oh yeah, I can't think of probably running back duos that I can think of that were that dominant and that potent. I would have to go back to the Falcons of 2016, 2015.
When they had Devontae Freeman and Tevin
and what was the other guy's name?
Devontae Freeman.
Yes. Yeah. That's the last time I could think of having a two-headed monster like that.
I'm trying to think. I mean, you had Kamara and what's his name? That was like that was like the ultimate to me. Like in terms of the last 10 years, that was like the ultimate duo. It's like
that's the complete polar opposites, But well, I don't feel like Montgomery he's not Gibbs as far as speed, but he's not slow either. I think
he's not slow. Yeah,
the second touchdown he had was 31 yards out.
Yeah,
and then before that he had that was a 60-some-odd yard run.
Almost went to the house. I was like, "Go! You're almost." He almost took it all the way. And that was such a backbreaker too because that was the second possession that the Lions had backed up near their own end zone.
Yep.
And they got out of it. Like having it done once is already like a killer for a defense. To have it done once, have it done twice. That is like I don't know how you can come back from that. Like that is such a killer. And yeah, Montgomery hit that long run, and that was like I think for me at least when he hit that, I was like, I think this is the Lions game. It just feels like they have everything in their side and their momentum. So it's interesting. But let's get to the play that I wanted to show. And again, options here, but I had to do the fourth down play. And I had said this, and I know like a lot of people, it's easy to criticize Dan Campbell and say he's dumb and an idiot. Like I know a lot of fans do that, specifically when it doesn't work. Remember that the one loss,
the NFC Championship game from 2 years ago.
Yeah, where they lost because they kept going for it, and we debated it on Eagles Talk about like was it right, was it not? The certain decisions. The reason why I don't have an issue with what the Lions do on fourth down is because they're consistent. It is baked into their identity. They like Dan Campbell has made it known and to his team that we are going for it on fourth down. No hesitation. Like this is what we do. And when you are that consistent with it and you set that type of mindset, you get results like this because your offense has the confidence that they'll be able to pull it off because they feel that confidence from the coach. And you like they have that swagger to be able to say, like with the Eagles, it's similar. Like we have that confidence of the Eagles that if it gets to 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, we're going to convert because of touch first. Like we have that advantage, not only physically but psychologically, mentally. It's such a similar thing with the Lions and saying we're going to go for it in fourth down all the time, and it's who we are. That's why I don't complain about it. And I think it's unfair to criticize them when it doesn't work out, when it's something they always do.
Right.
You can't nitpick. Like it's something else when you have a team where they're selective about when they do it, because then you can nitpick about when they choose to do it. But when you have the Lions who always do it, you can't nitpick. You can't be selective about when you're going to criticize them when going fourth down or not. That's who they are. So, but yeah, like let me before
Patience. We talked about the patience on when we looked at the film from Devontae earlier. This is patience as well, and pass pro has to hold up because this doesn't happen right away. This isn't like set hut, we snap it, and then Ambra's right open. Like goes in motion here, snap the ball. He has to be patient.
Yeah, and what do you think is the reason why he's motioning to inside like that?
Just to get coverage, to camouflage himself, and also if you look at his step and look at the backfield, this is almost a cheat because he's going to get full speed very fast from here. It's almost like a head start for him, and leverage out of here. Goodbye.
Boom. Yeah. I think that by him motioning inside, it adds to the element of a possible run because usually when you have a player motion inside like this, they're doing some type of blocking, right?
Right. Like number 2 thinks he probably is going to be a toss, and 14 St. Brown's going to come in the block.
Yeah. So that adds to that sell. We talk about selling that run action, right? So it sells to that, but also like you said, like it hides them. And then it helps give him that little bit of leverage to get by Humphrey. And then Humphreys, he gets called for the hold there, but it doesn't matter. Goff is able to hit St. Brown. Beautiful pass. Perfect pass. And he hauls it in. But, like, yeah, this is the details of again, like, we talked about Ben Johnson doing extra stuff to sell the run on the flea flicker. It's the offensive coordinator's name. Joe Morton doing this extra bit of stuff to sell the run action here on this 4th down play because everyone now, the Ravens are all thinking. Look at them on the second level. They are all biting. They're all thinking this is run because of that, right?
It's at this moment you know you fucked
up, and you're gone. They got you. So again, little nuances like that really add so much to how a play works, and I think the Lions are showing they're not just because Ben Johnson's there, they're not short on creativity and little things from the offensive side. So kudos to them.
Campbell, I think, creates the environment where you want to push. You push the envelope. You push the unorthodox. All right. So I think the one knock I would want to see. I thought they would start to try to encompass Jamison more, but in due time.
Yeah, in due time. I think his role has been established. He got his contract extension. I'm not worried about Jameis. He'll get his in due time. And so, Lions. They're showing they're not going away. I still have long-term concerns about their interior offensive line, but we'll see if it's going to be able to hold up. But hey, like we've seen their backups when they've had injuries last year, we've seen their backups step up. So it's not out of realm of possibility that that interior of the offensive line is going to do the same and step up this year. So I'm eager to see how that's going to play out and if their how they're blocking their interior O-line does as the season goes on. So anything else about the Lions you want to touch on before we get to No Huddle?
No.
Cool. Anything for you for No Huddle?
For No Huddle?
Yeah. I have something I want to. I have one, and it's gonna. Yeah, but I'll let you go.
I think our AFC Championship game could be Chargers Colts.
Ooh, I would love that. Just to have things changed up. Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills would be like the fans would be so mad, but yeah, it would be so much fun.
And I would not be surprised if the Chiefs are forced to make a trade prior to the trade deadline.
I think so too.
For a prominent wide receiver, because
or even if it's not a wide receiver, I think they need to trade for a running back.
Yeah, I mean, for what they need, something the CEH miss for him not being what they thought he was going to be. Yeah. Really set them back.
Yeah,
really
set. It sucks because they don't. We love Pacheco, but like he's still limited in what he can be because he's not really explosive.
Even though he's fast, he's more of a plotter. He's not like he doesn't have that burst.
Yeah, or that twitch. Like he's and then we know Hunt is way past his prime. Rashard Smith is not like he's still a rookie. He's making rookie mistakes. He doesn't know what he's doing completely yet, which is expected. And like he's a receiving back, like if he's in here, they're in there to pass him the ball. So like if he's in there, like it's a tell. It's a little bit of a tell. Like so, yeah, they need a running back. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's for either a running back or a wide receiver. But I think they do need to pull off a trade. They're in dire needs. I was telling a friend that like by the time Rashee Rice gets back, it might be too late. Like
they can't be 2-4. They need to figure out some way to get to 3-3.
Because that ground they might need to make up. Like if they face it's Chiefs Ravens this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just think about that. At the beginning of the season, 3 weeks in, did you think the Texans would be 0-3, and 4 weeks into the season, either the Chiefs or the Ravens are going to be 1-3 after week 4?
No, would not have expected that. But if I were to say one of those two teams, like the Ravens or Chiefs, would be 1-3, I would say I could see more for the Chiefs because of the suspension, because of the lack of talent at certain skill positions, because of the decline of Travis Kelce. I would have seen that more so than with the Ravens. So it's that'll be interesting. My quick one topic for No Huddle. Going back to the Bears thing, and we alluded to like the struggles of DeAndre Swift.
Rutgers Prime.
Running backs. I talk also about Rutgers running backs. There's a Rutgers running back right now who is on the Bears who is seeing increased workload each week. So his snap count in week 3 was up to 28%, and you're starting to see him. He's being used not only as a runner, but he's like a passing down back. They use him as a receiver. They flare him out onto routes, and he's in there on some pass protection. He's getting better at that. If you take out he had one run where it was just like, young guy, that's really cool, but you can't be doing that. Where he was breaking like so many tackles, but he was going backwards in the process. Yeah, and like he's got to learn to just like, hey, that's awesome, you can do that, but you got to go down. You got to just go down. If you take out, so with that, he had 6 carries for 16 yards rushing. But if you take that out, his rushes were 5 carries for 24 yards, and all of those carries went for positive yards. And to further to build, to elaborate off of that, I follow Jacob Gibbs on Twitter. It's a really good account with running back and wide receiver content. But he gives a stat where the Bears rank first in the NFL in percentage of running back runs that gain at least 1 yard before initial contact. All right. They also rank 27th in yards per running back rush, which is at 3.5. So running back, like their average yards, the average yards per carry for the running backs is 3.5. 26% of DeAndre Swift runs have met initial contact behind the line of scrimmage. So 1 out of 4 of Swift's runs.
O-line's getting a push. It's really on a running back.
He's waiting behind the line of scrimmage. Only 13% of Manangai's runs have met behind the line of scrimmage. Per Next Gen Stats, Swift is one of just 4 backs to spend 3+ seconds behind the line of scrimmage per rush. Manangai doesn't have enough runs to qualify. So what does all of that encompass? Like, what is, simple explanation. The Bears O-line is doing a good enough job of pushing, of creating space in the run game. But DeAndre Swift is spending way too much time being hesitant, not hitting the hole, and just dancing around it and bouncing. Like it's so crazy how like he has this issue. And then he comes to Philly and he looks better, than he ever has, and then he leaves Philly, and then he goes back to his old ways. It's so crazy, but like there's been a lot of issues, a lot of like complaining, and just people mad and frustrated with DeAndre Swift and how he's run. He's their RB1 right now, the lead back right now. He's getting a lot of the work, but I think it's only a matter of time. I think it's inevitable that Kyle Managai takes over. He's steadily seeing more work as it goes. And if these issues continue with Swift, it's hard for me to believe that by season's end, Managai won't be at least being 50-50 with Swift, in terms of time share. But I think they are working him into that offense. And, for your fantasy owners, if you play redraft and Managai is a free agent, I would scoop him up sooner rather than later and stash him on the bench. But yeah, Managai, I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable that he's going to get work. So keep an eye out on him. Just saying, my guy Managai is going to have a role on this Bears team. You see it. If you follow them each week, you can see it. You can see it. It's a tell. So that's all I got, Pete. How about you?
That's it from me, baby.
Well, awesome stuff. I really enjoyed diving into 3 different teams and their offenses. It's really cool to really dissect like how they're able to really open things up, and we shall see if the Lions, Eagles, or Bears can keep this up as the season goes on. I know I'll be keeping an eye on them. If you're watching, thank you so much for tuning in to Filmed On Live. We are our show comes out every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. bright and early. So if you're on your morning commute or whatnot, want to give us a listen, we are here for you. If you have any requests about things you want us to to break down, definitely hit us up, and we will definitely take a look. And I'm always open. Every week I'm always texting Pete like, all right, what plays you want to look at? Like so we always try to pick like a few plays to choose from. So if you have any requests, definitely let us know, and we'll be more than glad to look into it. For myself, for Mr. OG Pete, for the rest of us at A2D Radio, we appreciate it. Enjoy week 4 of the NFL, and we will see you same time next week. Till then, peace.
Peace.